Oh, look. It's pretty easy to find that. Finding something on dry land, pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but in the water it is completely different. Everything becomes an obstruction, everything becomes a hazard, visibility becomes clouded extremely easily, as I'll show you. Even just scraping over the surface without touching it kicks up all sorts of sediment that gets in the way of your visibility. Now you have to balance, you have to make yourself neutrally buoyant, which is a challenge in itself, so you don't sink, you don't float, you just stay exactly at the depth that you're at, and you can glide forward or move around with ease without touching the ground and kicking up everything. Now, on top of that, I have to scan back and forth with this metal detector or dig or do whatever I'm doing with being minimally invasive so I don't disturb the ground and cloud everything up immediately, just ruining my visibility. And then, once I do find something, or if I find something of interest I want to kind of check out, look at how fast just touching the surface will just completely destroy any visibility I did have. So this is why it's so difficult sometimes to go down there and find stuff, because it's not just like walking around in clear, dry land, looking on the ground, looking for whatever you may have dropped. Pretty much everything you do down here hinders your ability to find anything. And this is in a lake that actually has really good visibility to start with. A lot of them are what you see now to begin with, and they only get worse from there. And then you have to add in additional depth, lack of any sort of ambient lighting, 3, 4, 5, 6 foot tall weeds where you can't see anything anyway, and all sorts of other hazards and obstructions. Not to mention, a lot of the times people don't actually know where they dropped things, and even when they do and they have a really good idea, when things hit the water, they tend to drift in a certain direction, and they're not really where they actually got dropped. So there's a lot of searching involved, and a lot of it is guesswork. Additionally, a lot of times people, when they drop something, they try to look for it themselves, and they end up walking all over, disturbing what's on the bottom, when a lot of times if I were to just come look, it would be laying right there on the bottom, and I could see it, find it, pick it up, super easy, bing bam boom done. But they've stomped all over everything, and they've pressed it into the silt, into the sediment, and now it's no longer actually visible through just looking. You have to actually find it with a metal detector or some other means. So their attempts to recover it themselves actually make it more difficult for me to come and get it. On top of doing everything else, you also have to do all of the things you need to do to safely dive. You have to keep an eye on your air pressure. You have to be able to navigate underwater, keep an eye on your direction. You have to be able to count your kicks. You have to be able to know where you're at and where you're going, so you're not just going over the same spot 32 times. So there's a lot of underwater navigating and everything else that goes into what you're doing down there as well. And there are 7 million other things I could mention, but it's just too much to go into detail in one short quick video. And that'll just give you the basic 2-minute version of why it's so difficult sometimes to go down there and find something, even though you kind of know where it is, but you really don't.